class action lawsuit in horrific cinema. The guilty? Final Destination 4. Lightning McQueen, okay? Open this shit. We're introduced to our main cast. We have Nick, Hunt, Janet, and Laurie, a group of unexplained occupations. People, children, students, we're not sure. So they're at this racetrack. They don't know what's going on, okay? Like, cars are zooming. They're going zoom, 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 zoom. Here's the thing, we started out friends. No, not that zoom, zoom, zoom. But they are going fast. And our main character here, Nick, he has a premonition. What's the premonition of? Well, it basically tells him exactly what's about to happen. This is Final Destination formula. The ingredients, the MSG, if you will. So the main character sees what's about to happen and now he's like trying to prevent it. Anyway, Nick, he starts to freak out and like he's full on panic, but no one's believing it. In the premonition, he basically sees like the cars just like crash into one another and it leads to basically like everybody in the surrounding area dying, including his friends. So he starts to tell everybody like, oh, like this is what's happening, and he's trying to convince everybody. So his friends do eventually go with him and like a couple of other people after like some riff-raff, and they leave the stadium, like the car race thing alongside him. And as they leave, like this just confirms Nick's premonition, like everything he just saw happens. And that's the start of Final Destination 4. Like, now taking all these characters that survived are going to now be hunted by death. Okay, so now we're getting into already chaos, but like, this is chaos on top of chaos. So like, everything in the stadium just happened. Like, everybody just died. And shit's going down now, because after this point, like, it is just pure chaos. Nothing else, like just pure whimsical Final Destination hilarity, shits, and gigs. So, who's first on death's list? The racist. So this racist was one of the people who followed Nick out of the stadium, and basically why he's racist is because he uses the hard N-word to a black security guard who basically stops the racist from going back into the stadium. The racist wants to go back into the stadium at the beginning because his wife's there and like he wants to save her, but like the security guard prevents him, and the security guard being a black man. My wife's in there, asshole! So he pulls up outside his house now, like a couple of days after everything's happened, and I think he's like planning to kill him. So he's in his truck and outside of the security guard's house. Like, I don't actually know how he found his address. That's kind of creepy, but yeah. And I think he's just like trying to hate crime him or something. Anyway, unbeknownst to the angry racist man, Death also hates racists. Yeah. Anyway, things end tragically for the racist because he ends up hooked to his own van, and then he somehow like gets set on fire, and then he just gets dragged through the street, and it's just like the most random and then on top of that he explodes. Like, I was baffled by this because like, why? Like, he gets hooked onto the van, he gets dragged through the street, and then he just explodes. Why? Like, maybe there was like something that like caused English. I don't know, I'm getting too into this, but anyway, so the racist guy is dead first. So yeah, how Final Destination works is anyone who survives at the beginning basically just gets hunted down from death. Like, I didn't go too much into the introduction except like the race car and stuff happening because like there's not much plot. Let's be real, there's not much plot to Final Destination. The only reason why you're watching it is just like, you know, you just want a bit of a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so after the racist, it's this woman. So this woman's the one who puts like tampons in her kids' ears for some reason. She's like proper weird. I'll tell you what, like, I get proper immersed in like all this crap that's happening. Like, you know, the way Death like tries to kill them, where it's like almost cartoonic, where one thing happens after another in like succession or like a linear pattern, and then like there's some like red herrings, like you think that's going to do something and then it just does nothing. But thankfully the mother does survive somehow. Just like pure luck, I guess. And yeah, never mind. So she walks out the door and like she just gets hit by a stone through the eye and then she suddenly dies. I've just realized, like, while I'm probably going to be editing this, like, I can't probably include a lot of these clips, so they're just based on my descriptions. But yeah, so basically, like, a bunch of things happen to her, and then she leaves, and then, like, the guy outside lowering the moan, like, I don't even know how this works, if this could happen, like, I don't even know. But, like, he kind of like flicks the stone and he just goes shooting straight directly into her eye, which is crazy. So that's another person dead already. Yeah. Anyway, so the gang, the quadruple, Nick, Hunt, Laurie, and Janet, I think. I'm more shocked I can remember their names, to be honest. But they figure out the pattern based on like old articles and stuff, and like they go to like the beginning of they go back to the stadium, obviously, and from there they're like kind of like, well, it's just like Nick and his girlfriend. I think Laurie is that her name. Yeah, they're like trying to deduce what happens, and they meet up with the security guard there, and like he shows them the CCTV camera, and then they figure out the order of the deaths. So how the order of the deaths work is like in the premonition Nick has at the beginning, that's the order they're meant to die. So like he sees certain people die first, then that order is repeating basically in the real world, sort of. But this like gives them a way to fight against fate in a way, because like they can somewhat now prevent it because they know who's going to be sort of dead next. So the next guy is like a mechanic that he also saw who dies, and they go to his workplace, like they see his jacket and stuff, and they're like, okay, we know where he works, so we're gonna go there. So they interrupt his workplace just to see if he's alive, to have a little checkup, you know.
Sorry for being blunt, but your life's in danger, and I think you're gonna die.
3 of the people who left that stadium before that accident happened, they're now dead.
And to prevent his death, they like try to let him know, like, you know, this will happen to you, and like death's coming for your ass, run, bitch. Anyway, shortly in like the span of I don't even know how, he ends up like a fire extinguisher to the chest against the wall, full blast, and like his flesh just sort of like seeps through the grates of the fence surrounding the mechanics, the garage, and he's like just pinned against with an extinguisher, and like his flesh is just like diced. It's really gross. And then we have his colleague who just like runs up to him, and he just like, you can just hear him scream, "Are you okay?" I don't know. Is he okay? Like, he's pinned up against the fence and his meat is literally like just diced. Like, you know, like a cheese grate or something. I don't even have to describe it. It's like when you put like a garlic to like a mincer or something, I guess. I'm not sure. Like, is that right? I don't know. The acting is just tragic, okay? There's no comments to be made. Because let's be real, you're not watching Final Destination for the acting. And if you are, like, oh, maybe you are. That would be so interesting. Like, is Final Destination low-key like a really, really good Oscar movie or something? Anyway, Nick has like a premonition again surrounding water, and now Janet and both Hunt are like near watery things. So Janet and Hunt are like dating, I guess. Yeah. They don't make it entirely clear how they're gonna die, and I kind of like this about the movie. Like, the one thing it does get right is like just throwing these like red herrings and warnings and random crap in the way of like what's actually going to happen, and it just confuses the shit out of you, and it just keeps you guessing, you know? And it just keeps you on your toes. Anyway, Janet gets drowned in her car. She goes to like a car wash. And then, alternative, on the other side, whilst this is happening, Hunt's at like a local swimming pool as a lifeguard. And then like he has this like lucky coin, right, he carries around with him. And it falls into the pool. And he goes in to chase it. But it like falls into like the sinkhole. And then he gets like stuck against the sinkhole. Like his ass is on the sinkhole and he can't get up. And no one notices that he's down there. And Janet's like, nah. Like, she's like stuck at like the sunroof of a car. And like the bottom half is like full of water. And like she's about to go through, you know, that like the roller at the top of like the car wash. Like it's gonna, basically the car's moving forward. And she's going do 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 do. And her head's about to like come off or something. And she can't get up because the sunroof's stuck. But at the last minute, just before she's about to be pushed to death, Laurie, her friend, Nick's girlfriend, he saves her just at the last minute. Like, she gets out of the car because they figure out, like, Janet, it was either Janet, I think, next, or Hunt. They go for Janet. And then Janet said Laurie, but Hunt, Nick doesn't get there in time. And it's probably, I think, one of the more brutal deaths of the, like, movie. Like, he gets stuck into the plug hole, and then he comes out of the filter system and it's just blood everywhere. It's really, really graphic. And then you just like have this like lucky coin bounce out as well. Also, am I crazy for thinking like, could he not have like taken his shorts off or something and then like it gets stuck into the like plug hole temporarily just so he could fly fast. And I'm like, I don't really understand how like those sinkholes work or whatever, the plug holes. So I was like trying to think creatively here, like, you know, if you wanted to survive, like, could you not do that? Would it not jam it long enough for you to swim away? Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. So George, the security guard from earlier, who was like being hate crimed by the racist, he tries to hang himself, but he's like baffled. Like, it just doesn't work. He tries multiple times and it just does not work. So it turns out George can't kill himself yet. Anyway, they think like they're saved because like George can't kill himself. So like it's over. Like, because they saved Janet, I think. Yeah, I don't even know if they know like Hunt's like completely dead because they don't really mention it. It's really weird. Anyway, they like think that maybe they're safe now. So like they think like it's all over now, and they're all super optimistic. All of a sudden, like a bunch of people just like haven't died, but they think they're gonna survive. Anyway, we had like another person earlier in the stadium who's like this cowboy guy, and he basically turns out he's still alive as well, and he didn't die, so he's at the hospital. But just to cut a long story short, like they go to try find him, like Janet, Laurie, and security guard. They're like the three, okay? They're just like running around trying to save everybody, not Nick, Laurie, and the security guard. Anyway, by the time they get there, and a massive like industrial bathtub, which looks more like a damn fucking lake than a tub, just like falls on this cowboy, and like he's dead. He's dead. He's not Yellowstoning, okay? And then, yeah, after that, the next death is George, the security guard, sadly. Yeah, he gets run over by an ambulance, which is definitely something. Like, getting run over by an ambulance and dying is very, like, I feel like it could be very poetic. Like, that's definitely the source material to a very interesting poem. Also, then we have Janet and Laurie just, like, on a girl shopping trip, and they're out, as if, like, Janet's boyfriend Hunt didn't just get sucked through a plug hole and die.
Well, they're cute yet functional. I like them. They say I'm getting older, but I still like to party.
Doesn't matter, I didn't buy them for you, I bought them for Nick.
Like, there's not a single mention of this guy. So, which is why I like have this theory, like, they don't know he's dead. I don't know, okay? Like, I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure they just do not know. Because why have they not mentioned it? Like, at this point, do, like, the victims who die, like, just get erased from their memories or something? Because, like, none of these people are mentioned, even in passing, like 10 minutes, not even like 2 minutes after their deaths. Like, they're never mentioned again. Anyway, Nick acts like a reprobate, and that like causes road rage, and he just like parks in the middle of the road, sort of, and then like the mall is just like being Final Destination-ified, which means this. Anywho, Laurie and Janet are now like in the cinema having a good old time at the movies, and Laurie's like, she's seeing signs, okay? Like, she's seeing the signs. Like, just stop your sign, it's the time of the... And Janet won't believe her. Why is that so dramatic? Anyway, Janet won't believe her, and Nick thankfully finds her. Anyway, the cinema explodes because we keep needing everything to fucking explode in this fucking movie for some reason. And then chaos ensues. That's just like a little bitch. Because, like, what do you mean? Like, he's so petty. Like, because, like, what do you mean? Like, you're going to kill all these people just for, like, 3 people that you really need to kill? Like, the entire mall blows up just for these 3 people. And, like, then Laurie goes to, like, the escalator and it just, like, grinds her up like a piece of paper. And it's, like, really, really disgusting. And then it turns out it was all a premonition. Are you for real? Like, oh my God, like, I literally did not see that coming. Like, that is literally like a premonition in a premonition. Like, the premonition of the docs of it all. Like, the premonition of docs. Like, God, that is like crazy. Like, Anyway, he dreams, and so he knows what's going on. Like, his premonitions help him out, okay? They're like tips and tricks, like at the beginning of a game. Because he finds like that the fire that starts this explosion in the cinema is at the top of the cinema. So he runs there and he tries to go and prevent it. And as like he's trying to put out the fire, a nail gun just goes off and it just shoots him in the arm. And there's this struggle and he's trying to prevent the fire. He does eventually manage to turn on the sprinklers and the fire just goes psh, like extinguishes. So that's it, I guess. Then we have a 2 weeks later scene and Laurie, Janet and Nick, the survivors, are all in a coffee shop and he has another premonition. And as soon as he wakes up, he turns and then a massive truck just comes towards the window of the coffee shop and they're just dead. And it turns out maybe that was Death's plan all along, to have them at this coffee shop at this exact time. Likely story. Anyway, what a joyous movie. So this movie was originally filmed for 3D actually back in 2009 because 3D started to like become popular and explains why a lot of the movies like VFX is quite cheap looking in comparison to like its predecessors. It's also the only movie out of all of them to like suck this bad. For starts, the gripe I have with it is just like the awful acting because it's like so barren and just like there. And I get that it's like a Final Destination movie, like it's meant to feel a bit more comical because of like how ridiculous the deaths are, but like that doesn't mean you like remove all mention of real drama. It's like when you have like a fantasy novel and like people are like, oh, but it's fantasy, so that's why X and Y like could or couldn't happen, but like that's not the point. You need to mix in reality with fantasy to sell its relatability. Also, like when trying to do a summary for this movie, like unlike The Princess Diaries, you realize that despite all the misleading stuff that's thrown in the plot, like the plot is so straightforward. It's literally just like introduction, death spree, ending, and you just like sprinkle in some like premonitions here and there and everywhere because like why not? Obviously, it's like some sort of like macabre like comedy more than anything, but it's hard to take it as like even a comedy because this movie in particular is like so confused about what it is itself. It feels like too heavy to be a comedy, but also like too light to like take itself seriously. It feels like a cheap, crappy home movie in like many respects, but like with a decent budget glazed over it. This is like not the best Final Destination movie, but it's like something you can, you know, just put on like when you want to watch a movie without paying it much attention. Like Final Destination movies are never for the plot, let's be real. But honestly, all in all, like it wasn't the worst. Like I'd probably watch it again just because some of the deaths are so ridiculous. They're kind of funny. Like the guy just exploding while he's on fire. Like there's so many explosions. Like, oh, anyway. It was a great movie. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.